Listen, we as an agency often create multiple ads for our clients as part of the funnel process, right? How important that funnel process is. What would you recommend to anyone trying to create their own funnel campaign?
You need to warm up your audience first. So you kind of need a top of the funnel to give a bit of a brand awareness, and always make sure that you kind of considering the user journey and people that don't know your brand as well. You want to introduce yourself first and then talk about yourself and then get them across the line.
Welcome to the Week's Weekly podcast for companies and agency owners specializing in medical clinics, cannabis, and dental offices. Have you reached your peak and want more out of life and business? Learn what it takes to be a part of bigger projects with the potential for a more significant payoff through growth and acquisitions. Listen to the latest episode with your host, Ed Weeks Jr.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Week's Weekly. I have my most appreciative guest again today. LeAnne, how are you?
Hi, Ed. I'm good, thanks. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year for sure. Here we are in 2023. Time just flies when we're having fun. We're coming to people today, a new episode. Super excited. Definitely excited too to continue growing our podcast. And we love LeAnne, and she's awesome from the beginning, but we're going to be adding some new guests in the new year and also bringing LeAnne in with her wealth of knowledge anytime we can. But enough of that. Let's get into exactly what the episode today is about. We talked in our first episode about the strategy. We then talked about identifying and the in-depth persona. Today, we're going to talk about putting all of that stuff into action, right? So LeAnne, how are we putting this marketing plan into action?
Good question. Where do you start?
Where do you start?
You've got your plan, you know who you're talking to, what platforms do you need to be on, you know that from your audience persona work. So you need to start thinking internally about who's going to do what. So assign tasks and responsibilities. So if you've got an in-house copywriter or you've got someone that can do the creatives, they can design the artwork for your ad and start looking at the ad copy. You might have someone that manages the technical side, so that might be able to set up like the conversion tracking and manage the analytical data. Someone that manages your website. So when you're running a campaign, you need to think about creating landing pages specific to those campaigns. So make sure that you divide up the roles to the relevant people and make sure everyone's been assigned a task so you can start bringing it all together. And with that, set deadlines, because otherwise things don't get done. So if you want to get a campaign up and running, have a deadline in mind. For whatever reason, it might be that it's coinciding with a sale or a promotion, or it might be a seasonality product. So once you've done that, you need to kind of think about your budget, allocating budget. And I'll talk a bit more about this in a minute because there's quite a lot to that. You can't just come up with a budget. You have to think about, what you can afford to spend each month, what margins you've got to play with the product, and other things I'll cover in a bit more detail shortly. And then you need to start thinking about how you're going to track and measure. So I talk about analytics and conversion tracking. So you need to make sure that whatever platform you're using, you've got conversion tracking in place so you can measure the results of your campaign. So you need to do a bit of prep work before you get going. So once you've got all of that together, then you can start actually putting the campaign together and getting it live.
I love how easy you make it sound, and yet how complicated we know it is.
It is. Yeah, the conversion can be terrifying sometimes, especially on the bespoke site. But yeah, it's quite easy these days if you're using things like Shopify or WooCommerce, because there's plugins that can do it all for you. So it's not that scary.
It's not that scary, but repetition is the mother of mastery, right? So we do this stuff all the time. It gets a little easier. Doing it yourself, definitely, hopefully some of this will help you and understand the process that goes into not only developing your strategy, your personas, but now actually putting it into action and the team that it takes to do it. So we have that piece. How do we go about starting a campaign? Most people love to talk about Facebook, so let's just talk about Facebook specifically. Google gets a little more complicated, but let's talk about how do we start that campaign on Facebook?
Yeah. So you need to have a Facebook account, first of all. So assuming you've got all of that and you've actually got a company page set up, that's the easy part. You need to look at what kind of ads you want to run. So it sometimes can be overwhelming, but it's not really. You've got image ads, video ads, carousel where you've got multiple images, video ads, lead generation ads. So you can actually do lead generation ads on Facebook where they can collect the data for you. So there's lots of different options. So once you know your campaign objectives, if you're an e-commerce business, and you're probably going to want like catalog ads that directly link to your product. So once you know what kind of ads you want, then you can get these set up in Facebook. What you need to do, you need to go into Facebook and you need to start looking at your targeting and your audiences based on their interests and locations, age ranges. You can do behaviors as well. It's very, very granular. So this is where your audience persona work comes in, because then you know exactly who you're talking to and you can go through your interests and behaviors and define it to those audiences. And you can create multiple audiences as well. So if you've got multiple audience personas, you don't just do one, you do multiple, and you can split test those audiences. By split test, I mean test what works and what doesn't. So you might want to run 3 different audiences, and you can just stop ones that aren't working or tweak ones that are. You need a little bit more budget for that though. So don't go too crazy on the split testing if you've got a small budget, but you do need to do a bit of the testing initially to get the campaign right.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into Facebook campaigns. I have a question for you that is a little off. Well, it's not off topic. There's a lot of people out there that say, you know what, we talked about obviously honing in on your persona, which I think is the right way to do this, to really target, get your message in front of the right audience. There's a lot of people out there that talk about doing campaigns open, no demographics, no targeting. Obviously, you're going to go geographically where you are, but there's people that say, let Facebook and the algorithm figure that out for you. What are your thoughts on that?
I personally wouldn't, because you're going to eat away at your budget. So unless you've got huge budgets, let Facebook do the work, but it's going to take a lot longer. If you know who you're talking to because you spent a lot of time doing your audience persona work, then you don't really need Facebook to do that for you. You can do that yourself and save yourself a bit of money.
I love that, because that's exactly, this is not scripted at all. This is just me asking a question that popped into my head.
Yeah.
But the people that go and talk that route are talking about spending. I know people that do that at 50, 60,000 a day because they have these ginormous budgets that they're working with. So they're able to just go wide open and feed all that money into the data collection into Facebook and let Facebook figure it out. That's not the local business that may need to spend 5, 10, 15 bucks a day. You really want to know your persona and attack it. So I appreciate that. I just wanted to get your blind opinion on that, because again, this isn't something we talked about, but just something I wanted to throw at you. The other piece that I wanted to add is, I believe that this is still true, although it's probably under Meta now. So business.facebook.com. You can find a lot of this, how to set all these things up, but there's a actual course, right? I know all the platforms have this. You just have to look for it. I know under Facebook's, it's Blueprint, right? Where you can actually go in and learn the platforms and get certified and do all these things. So if you're doing this internally, take the time to have whoever's going to run your ads go and look into Blueprint and see what kind of ads specifically you want to run, and learn from Facebook, Meta, how to actually do that, right? I mean, Blueprint. I know a lot of people don't, but it's a tool that's out there for free that a lot of people can do. Not the certifications, but a lot of what they'll provide you is free.
Yeah, well, it's all free on Facebook, but you can also, if you didn't want to go too in depth, because Blueprint is quite in depth, but it gives you a good overview. And if you're going to be managing your own ads, you need to take that time out to know what you're doing, because otherwise you might get one thing wrong and it will use up a lot of your budget. But don't be scared by it, because Facebook isn't scary if you know what you're doing. So Blueprint's great. There's also loads of groups on Facebook. So if you are running ads, there's Facebook ad groups on there. You can kind of collaborate with some people, put posts out and get feedback. YouTube is a really good tool as well. So if you're just setting up a campaign, you can check out YouTube and look for someone that gets really good kind of likes and engagement with their videos and good comments. Just make sure it's current though, because some of these videos are quite dated. So you might see a slightly different interface if it's an older video. And also Facebook's algorithm changes all the time. Some of the behaviors and interests have been restricted over the years, so you might not see the same information.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely make sure it's current. Google, YouTube, you'd be your best friends, right? You don't know it, just Google it. Actually, no, we won't talk about that. We'll talk about that in some other episode, that awesome AI tool that we're starting to look and dive into. But listen, we as an agency often create multiple ads for our clients as part of the funnel process, right? How important that funnel process is. What would you recommend to anyone trying to create their own funnel campaign?
Well, yeah, the funnel campaign is really important. Probably if you've never run any Facebook ads before, you cannot just go in with, your catalog ads or dynamic product ads saying, this is our product, buy it. You need to warm up your audience first. So you kind of need a top of the funnel to give a bit of a brand awareness and let them know about you, and middle funnel to get them kind of more engaged, and then your bottom of funnel to buy. So it's really important that when you're doing that, you look at your targeting, you create a series of ads, you test different ad copy, different images. You might want to do some video ads and some static image ads or some carousel ads as part of that funnel. So you're top of the funnel, where you're going to get them initially, it needs to be very, very engaging. So you might want to test a couple of different ads. And again, that's going to evolve as your campaign kind of grows and you get more data behind it. You're going to start changing the creatives. You get ad fatigue as well. So don't run the same creative too much top of funnel, because people might get bored of it and see it too many times, especially if they're not engaging with it. You're throwing your money away. So yeah, always make sure that you kind of considering the user journey and people that don't know your brand as well. You want to introduce yourself first and then talk about yourself and then get them across the line.
Yeah, I love it. I think, so I can just go only and talk about how we used to do this in a local market here in the Hudson Valley of New York. We would use a lot of video views on the top funnel, right? We'd have our video guy come in, do some cool videos, create the top of funnel awareness with the videos, and then bring them through the various stages of the funnel after doing that. And then you have an audience, right, of video views that you can use to target now with your new stuff. So they kind of know your name. And it just makes the funnel process a lot smoother on the customer journey. And I think a lot of times the small business owner will throw up, lead generation because, oh man, I want leads and I want to sell and I want to do this, but then they don't get any leads or they get really bad leads. And then they're like, wait a minute, this isn't working. I'm done with Facebook. Right. So they didn't really take the process of going through a customer journey. So by that, right, is meaning that as a person, forget about being a business owner, but as a person, how often would you just click on a ad that you saw, put your info in and be sold?
Yeah, you just don't. Yeah.
No, but you think of it as an owner, I'm just going to run these ads and everybody's going to come buy my stuff because my stuff is so great. Whatever you're doing, and not thinking that it used to be when I first started many moons ago running Facebook ads, it was probably 7 to 10 touches. I can't even tell you how many touches it takes now, 20 plus. Think about all the ads. My Facebook feed, the only reason I'm on there is really to keep up with customers. But if I go through my Facebook feed, every second scrolling through, every second post is an ad.
Yeah.
Right. LinkedIn is about every third or fourth what Facebook used to be, but now it's crazy. Instagram is the same way. It's just ad after ad after ad. You tell me how you're getting somebody to buy right away. So the funnel process is super important. Engaging content. That's why we always like the video. But you got to be creative in your video. What's going to make people stop? All those fun things. I know I'm going way off track with this, but the reality is, from an experience locally in our market, top of funnel is super important.
Yeah, no, you're right. And video is really important. That gets the most engagement on any ads as well. That's just a thing, especially with Instagram. Video ads work really, really well. And yeah, knowing your audience, this is why we harped on so much about audience personas, because you could create an ad that's completely irrelevant and it's not going to connect with your audience. So it's once you really know who you're talking to, you might want to create a series of videos if you've got multiple audiences and different age ranges, and test them. But it's the videos that really capture people's attention more so than static images these days. But not to say images don't work. Good creatives do work, but not really so much on top of funnel. So you really want to get their attention straight away. There is a lot of noise. There is more competition out there, but ads still work and they're still really effective. Going back to, I'm just going to circle back to budget, because that's really important as well, because it does cost a lot more. When you're doing a funnel, you have to allocate budget to each funnel. So when you've got top, middle, bottom funnel, you have to make sure you've got the relevant budget. Obviously, bottom funnel tends to be a bit cheaper because they've kind of seen the two, top and middle, and then they come to the bottom to convert. So that's relatively low budget, but you do need to make sure that you've allocated enough. And it's really hard to know how much to spend on Facebook because it varies. There's so many variables. If you go for the whole of the US, you're going to have to spend a lot more. So you might want to spend some time looking at different areas in the US that more people are searching for your product. And you can use things like Google Trends that tells you how many people are searching for that particular search term in an area, and you might want to start with that location first, and then as you grow your campaign you can start adding more locations on. Budget's really important, so you need to work out how much you can spend, how much you can afford each month, and obviously the more the better because you can do more testing, you can get multiple ads running, but it's really important that you know what your margins are as well, what you can afford to spend per acquisition, per new customer. And that's really important if you're working with an agency as well, that you get that information across to them and say, look, this is the price of my product, this is how much I can afford to spend on marketing it to make a profit, to still make a profit. So you might have quite a high margin product or service, which means we could probably spend a little bit more on the ads. But if you've got quite low margins, then that's a different matter. We need to look at the allocation of the budget. And then you look at competitors as well. So your competitors will be running ads. It's a bit harder to know what people are spending on Facebook, but like for Google, there's a tool called SEMrush, which can give you an idea of what your competitors are spending on Google Ads. And that's kind of quite a good benchmark in terms of keyword costs, campaign costs. So there's lots of different ways you can kind of do some research to look at what people are spending. But the most important thing is that it works for you. You can afford it. It's allocated within your marketing budget. And you need to also, I'm probably going off on one here about budget, but you need to also accept that the first probably 3 months, if I'm realistic, aren't going to get you a return on investment initially because it takes time for the campaign to mature. It collects a lot of data. You were talking about algorithms earlier, Ed. It's still the same even if you really targeted your campaign, especially if it's new and you've never done any ads before. So you do need to allow some time for your campaign to build up momentum, especially if you're doing top of the funnel, middle funnel, bottom of the funnel campaign, which hopefully you are, because you need to get everyone through the funnel process, and that takes time as well. It's not going to happen in a day or two. It's not going to happen in a month. Sometimes it does. It depends on your industry, how many competitors are doing the same kind of bidding. There's lots and lots of variables, and sometimes it can happen straight away. Sometimes it can take a little bit more time, but we always say about 3 months, just so people aren't disappointed if they don't get results straight away. You have to be patient in the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's so important from all perspectives, especially, I mean, we came at this whole episode from more or less a do-it-yourself philosophy. So be patient, take the time to let things work, test, play, tweak, but know that you may spend a couple of months, up to 3, maybe 4 months of ad spend trying to figure it out. And that's what's happening. Facebook is trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure it out. If you hire an agency, they're trying to figure it out. It's just the reality of it. And we're only literally talking about Facebook. Throw in Google to the equation and all the other platforms that are out there. Again, I think that's why you see the people that can afford it often hire an agency and the expertise to do all these things for them. But the most important piece is always that budget, and know sometimes that budget will not have that immediate return. But like anything, time is on your side. Consistency and continuing to do things will eventually get you to the side where you have ROAS and ROI and you're making money from your ads, but it takes time. So I appreciate that in-depth coverage of budget, because we know what we run into with clients. So LeAnne, as always,
Can I just add one last thing, Ed?
So, you're not going to let me cut you off. Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
We're trying to end it. It's just another really important thing. Your landing page. It's so important. So you can have the best ad campaign with the best creatives and the best ad copy. If you haven't got a decent landing page for your customer to go to, then you're throwing your money away. So we will always, before we tackle any campaign, look at the client's landing page, look at the client's product, make sure it's all smooth, it's loading fast, there's strong call to actions, the product description is really enticing, the imagery is great, because what you'll find is if you spend a lot of money and you're getting a lot of clicks but low conversions, something's not right on the page probably most of the time. So yeah, that's just if you're going to do it yourself, just make sure that you've got a decent website, because there's so many good websites out there now. Bad ones don't even really get looking anymore. So unless you've got a really, really niche product and people desperately want it, people would just give up. So yeah, landing page. Just make sure you've got a really, really good website.
I love it. And I think that the easiest way to see what's working is looking at your competitors and seeing what they're doing. And if they're actively crushing social media and Facebook, go and look at their stuff. Go through their funnel. Go through the journey. Like literally go through it. Use a Gmail account. Go through just go through it and see what their email follow. Like you can learn a lot by just going through and seeing what the local competition, who's maybe dominating your local Facebook or even the national ones. Go through and see what's converting, and you can build a great landing page that way.
You can. Really quick hack as well before I go, before you cut me off. You've got on Facebook, you can go onto your competitors page. If you go onto page info and click on page transparency, you can tell if your competitor's running ads. So you can click on their ad library and you can see all the ads that your competitor's running. Chances are the ones that have been running for a long time are doing very well for them. So check out your competitors' ads very easily now on Facebook.
Giving away all the hacks. I love it, but that's great. No, but look, the bottom line is this. The reason you listen for us for 20 minutes is because at the very end, you get another little tidbit and a little nugget from LeAnne. So
LeAnne,
now I'm cutting you off. No,
I'm going.
I greatly appreciate your time. Another great episode. Hopefully our audience got a ton out of it. As always, we ask, rate us, review us, and send us any questions you have. Until the next time, have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Weeks Weekly Podcast with Ed Weeks Jr. If you like our show and want to know more, check out edweeksjr.com and please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.